We've got a special guest with us tonight. He's been an MMA fighter since 2001 and has a professional record of 18 wins and only 4 losses. Of his wins, 9 came by way of submission and 4 by way of knockout or TKO. He's the former Strikeforce lightweight champion, Josh Thomson. Josh, welcome to MMA Today, and thanks for taking the time to join us here tonight.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's awesome seeing you finally getting back into the cage. Tell us about some of the things you've struggled with, having been out of the cage for over a year now.
I was getting ready for the Maximo fight in October, and I ended up fracturing my foot and also tearing some ligaments in it, sparring. So then what I did is during that time, I had an injury that had been bugging me for quite a while, my wrist, and it was just getting worse and worse. So I finally just decided to go ahead and have surgery on the wrist, and that's what we did.
That's awesome. So how are you feeling now? Like, where are you at in getting back to 100%?
I mean, I'd say I'm probably close to about 80-85%, but I mean, I feel like the camp went well. I trained safe for this fight, trying to get to the fight, making sure. I'm just a little worried and concerned if I underdid it. I feel in good shape. I feel like in phenomenal shape. Normally though, like I try and do more, so that kind of makes you start guessing. Like, okay, I didn't do as much as I normally do. Am I going to be ready? But I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll be ready. I've had some good sparring partners. I've had Justin Wilcox, Gray Maynard, Noah Nahad. He was here, and then Thomas Dianji. All of them are great sparring partners, good workout partners. So they've really pushed me, and I've been able to go a fresh round with each one of those guys. For 3 hard rounds. So I had a fresh guy every 3 rounds, depending on how we rated them. Sometimes also going like 2.5 minutes, for each one of them to really make sure they're pushing me as hard as they can. So, I feel good going into the fight.
Now, your upcoming bout is March 3rd in Columbus, Ohio, against KJ Nunes. What does he present as a unique challenge to you, or his biggest obstacle to you?
I don't really see an obstacle at all in any direction, but I just do see that he's just a tough kid. One of those guys that's going to be really hard to finish. He's coming into his own right now, I think, and he showed after his Masvidal fight that he's going to try and progress and get better and try and be a well-rounded fighter. He's kicking more. He showed him the Billy Evangelista fight, kicking more. He's been working on his wrestling. He got a couple takedowns in that fight. I think I got to be ready for everything. I think I'm going to get the best KJ that everyone's seen, and I'm sticking to that. I really believe that he's going to be on the top of his game. He's coming off of a good win over Billy, and he's going to be ready to go. I mean, he's fresh. He's fought. He's been fighting consistently. He's been fighting over and over. He's been a busy fighter in the last year. So unlike me, I haven't been busy. So this is kind of getting back into the groove of things, and it's a big fight for someone who hasn't fought in 15 months.
Now, with the Zuffa acquiring Strikeforce, and we're seeing the heavyweight division basically being, let's say, transferred over to the UFC. Does it concern you as a lightweight fighter, or is it the type of thing where we're seeing guys like yourself or Gilbert Melendez, or are you guys in a position where you're saying, hey, I'd like to get over to the UFC, or do you feel like Strikeforce has been a good organization and you're happy working there?
I'm happy with wherever I'm at, and I've made that clear. When I was in the UFC before in 2002 through 2004, I was happy there. I was excited to be there. I loved being there, and when Dana signed me and brought me onto the team there, I loved being there. It's obviously the biggest promotion in the world. And then, but when they got rid of the weight class, I had to go somewhere else. And when I went over to Japan and fought in Pride and Bushido and things like that, I loved it over there as well. I really, to be honest, I go where they want me, and I go where where the work is. And and most fighters will will potentially try and follow like where the stardom is the most, and I really try to get away from that and just try to follow where best fits me. And after I left Pride, I went to Strikeforce, and Scott Coker took me in like basically one of his sons, and he overlooked my career and made sure that made sure that I came out and I was able to perform to the best of my ability by doing everything he could to give me the right fights and to push me and promote me the best he could. And I've always admired promoters that have done that for me. And all three of the promotions that I've fought for, all the biggest promotions I've fought for, have always been great to me. And I really have no, I have no qualms with any of them. It doesn't matter where I fight, whether it be UFC or Strikeforce, or even when I fought in Pride. It didn't matter. I enjoyed being there, and no matter what, they took care of me. I really enjoyed it.
And Josh, as a former champion, I mean, it automatically puts you in the mix. But with a win over KJ, do you think that puts you in immediate title contention?
I really don't know. I mean, to be honest, I would imagine it does. Masvidal coming off the loss, KJ. If I beat KJ, really, to be honest, nobody else is, I think, ready to step up. The fight that I really am interested in seeing, to be honest, is the Fodor and Pat Healy fight. Healy hasn't lost since he lost to me, and I think that's 5 or 6 fights now. And Fodor, I believe, is undefeated. So that's going to be a great fight. I think this is a big step up in competition for Fodor. And then I also think that me coming off of a win over KJ should give me an automatic title shot. It's all, like I said, it's all up to them. But I really believe that it doesn't matter what promotion you're in; it's up to the promoter, and the promoter makes that decision. And that's the great thing about being a fighter. I don't have to worry about making those type of decisions. I just have to go out there and win. And if I look like crap, I really, to be honest, if either one of us look like crap and we can't pull out a great win, on each other, or just put on a great show and get the W, then I wouldn't be surprised if if you saw one of us get passed over from Fodor or Healy getting the shot next. I'm only throwing that out there because I think fans should understand that both those guys are have significant wins and they're coming up and and things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised. But I expect, to be honest, I expect for myself to go out there and put on a great show and get the W. And then you'll be hearing here soon, shortly after the fight, that they'll be announcing that I get a title shot. So that's realistically what I believe. But, like I said, anything can happen. You've seen it before in the UFC where Gray Maynard, had fought Nate Diaz and is supposed to get a title shot if he beat Nate. And then, it didn't have a great performance. I believe he still got the win. But it wasn't what they anticipated or something along those lines. And so then they just decided not to do it. They didn't, and then Gray got his title shot later on. So, you wouldn't be, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that had happened if, I went out there being 15 months off and having a little bit of ring rust and maybe didn't look the way they wanted me to look. But regardless, I'm looking forward to getting the title shot. I want to get the fast way to the title, and that's my plan.
Sure. Well, you've been fighting for a long time, and having been around since 2001 in the professional ranks, do you think that maturity gives you a little bit different perspective in terms of, where you're fighting and what your aspirations are, being around for so long?
It gives you a perspective on how much longer you want to do it. It gives you, that idea of okay, am I getting close to the end? It's for me. I've been fighting since I was 19, 20 years old. If you're thinking about it, that's close to 14 years. I'm getting a little, getting some roads on this and getting some miles on these tires, and you just want to start you want to start being able to pick and choose your fights a little bit more safely. On top of that, you want to make sure that you're training your hardest and avoiding injuries. I spent a good 2 or 3 years on the sideline, at least just injured.
Sure.
At least 3 or I'd say probably close to 4 years now. In those years I spent on the sideline, injured. So it's just a matter of taking care of my body and just trying to get, and trying to find the fastest way to the title, knowing that I have a chance to beat Gilbert.
So you think your age kind of puts a little bit more pressure on you to move a little quicker?
No, it doesn't make me do it any quicker. It just makes me think in it takes me away from what I used to do. Like everything when I beat Gil the first time, and then even for my second fight, I felt great going into the second fight with him. But then I just felt like I did a lot more in my training at those times. To the point of literally overtraining, like so bad that I was getting injured all the time during the camp. Each camp was 12 weeks long. Each camp I was getting I was getting hurt. Every camp I was getting hurt and healing up, getting hurt, healing up. Being able to, the camps were so long, it was miserable. So knowing that I was able to do that much into a camp, cram that much into a camp, it makes you wonder if you cut back, are you going to still give a great performance like that, or is it going to take away from your performance? So, it plays with your mind a lot. If you're used to training super hard and all the time and really intense, and all of a sudden you can't do it, you can do it, you just don't want to do it because you don't want to risk getting hurt. It kind of plays with your mental more than anything.
Sure. Now, if you did go on to win, let's say, the next 2 or 3 fights and end up getting the belt, would that put more pressure on you to retire or more pressure on you to keep fighting?
To be honest, I don't really look at it as pressure. I don't really look at it as I don't look at retirement as pressure. I think when that time comes, it's going to be like, okay, I know. It's time to stop. There's a lot of other things I want to do in my life, and you got to make that decision when the time comes, like a mature adult. A lot of these boxers, they get stuck in the game for so long, and you can just see the look on their faces change. They have that stale look where they don't understand anything you're saying.
Sure.
I don't want to be one of those fighters, and I feel like I have a lot more to offer, just in life in general. And when that decision comes, I feel like I can make that decision wisely and like a mature adult and just get out of the sport. So, as far as winning the title, like I said, I've said this 1,000 times before, it doesn't matter if I have the title or not. I feel like I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish in this sport. I've done a lot of things that I've always wanted to do. I fought in the UFC. That was my goal when I first started fighting, was to fight in the UFC, and I fought in the UFC when I was still young. And then when the UFC didn't have the weight class anymore for those couple of years, I always wanted to fight in Japan and Pride because everybody was over there, and I went over there and fought there. And then with Strikeforce, and gave me the opportunity to fight for a world title, and I won a world title. I guess as a career, you really can't say you want to do anything else. Realistically, the only thing I could say that I'd want to do anymore is maybe win my belt back, only because I never got to really defend it because I was plagued with injuries that whole time.
Sure.
That's realistically the only thing, to be honest. That to me is really the only thing I'd really want to do that's left in the sport for me. Yeah, otherwise, I'm just enjoying the ride, man, living the dream. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, you have had a great career, and we've loved watching your fights over the years. How can our listeners follow you? You have a web page or Twitter account? What's the best way?
You can follow me on Twitter @TheRealPunk, and then you can also hit my Facebook and try and friend request me there. I have a fan page as well. They're both under Josh Thomson or Josh the Punk Thomson, so you can check me out there as well. And I'm mainly on Twitter, to be honest, more often, and I actually it loads up to both my pages, all 3 of my pages, so you can follow me any way you want.
Well, that's awesome, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. You've got the upcoming fight March 3rd against KJ Noons. We wish you the best there. That's Columbus, Ohio. That's going to be on Showtime. So we're going to be looking for an exciting fight and hopefully your hands raised at the end with a victory. We really appreciate the pleasure of you joining us on the show, and we'd like to thank you again for taking the time to be here on MMA Today. We wish you the best of success in the future and look forward to your upcoming fight.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much, Josh.